So, like, what do you do when you read the word princess instead of prince when reading a movie summary and spend most of the movie waiting for the princess to show up? But there's no princess to show up. Let's have an animated discussion. The prince of Selena works to maintain his family's dignity during a turbulent time where social norms are being rearranged as a new future unfolds. This movie stars Burt Lancaster, Alain Delon, Claudia Cardinale, was written by Giuseppe Tomasi Di Lampedusa, Suso Cecchi D'Amato, and Pascal Festa Campanelle, and was directed by Luciano Visconti. This movie is based on a book that is inspired by the history of Giuseppe Tomasi Di Lampedusa's own aristocratic family. I have to be honest, once I realized this movie was about a prince and not a princess, and I reread the synopsis, I kept hearing how honorable the Prince of Selena was, and I didn't really see it. I don't think he was a bad guy, but I think honorable might be an interesting choice of words. Wise, maybe. Smart, sure. But honorable, I don't know. Let me know what you think by the end of this video. The movie starts off with a bang, almost immediately. The family is praying, though there's a lot of shouting happening outside, and we find a soldier is found dead in the garden, and a letter has come warning of opposing troops landing, ready to threaten the old way of life. We are diving right into what is about to be a fascinating war, as the priest warns the prince to look out for his nephew, and the prince spends some time with his lover. There are a few things to notice here. The prince seems very calm for what looks like an uncertain future. The only real indication that he might be nervous about all of this is after comforting his wife, he goes to find comfort in his mistress. Even after finding out his nephew will eventually go out to fight, and the priest is trying to get him to confess during this tense time, the main things the Prince Selena mentions are the following. He's had 7 kids by his wife, but has never seen her navel. She's extremely pious, and as a result, she might be the sinner in the relationship, not him for taking on a mistress. He does not think the middle class wants to hurt them, but just gently replace them. And finally, the line I very much appreciate, the church has been promised immortality. We as a social class have not. The church has been promised not to die. Solis is complicit in her desperation. If the church could save herself by sacrificing us, wouldn't she? In this scene, we can deduce a few things. I think there is a small lack of awareness that a lot of aristocrats have about how they are viewed by lower class citizens, and Prince Selena's statements very much give let them eat cake. 2, I can't tell if he feels he is above sin, if he believes women are the cause of sin, which was a widely known belief for some people groups, even in the church, they would say that women were the cause of sin, or if the statement of the church influences his statement about how he is without sin. But it is clear he believes he is completely in the right about his affair, which is an interesting take, and he seems to be someone who justifies his actions with a slight sense of superiority, which again is something we see in a lot of aristocrats, especially when we go and watch reenactments of history. As we fast forward through this movie, we see that Prince Selena is determined to still have a family vacation in the midst of all of this uncertainty. Even during their travels, the priest is talking to some people who are asking about the family, and he states that the main difference between common folk and nobles is the things they stress out about. For example, the prince would be devastated to miss this vacation, but thinks the war will end swiftly. Again, this shows where the prince's thought processes lie. He is fully unaware of the reality of what's about to take place in this war, but heaven forbid he misses his vacation. Even his nephew, who left to fight in the war, gets injured, comes back with a promotion, and then gets to enjoy vacation. He even got them the permits to go on their vacation because he helped fight. Did you know that Marie Antoinette used to have a small village that she made for herself whenever she wanted to play poor? I didn't either. My friend let me know when they came back from their trip to Europe. They took a tour of her poor town. How insane is that? She would even have people who worked in the town so that it felt real. That's how it feels when the family lands for their vacation. There's a big band, everyone is gathered to see the family. The prince even remembers the name of someone's dog. But even though the prince is excited to see everyone, it very much feels like all the people are so nervous around the nobles. This isn't an equal relationship at all. Though I don't think the prince understands the significance of why that's a problem. At church, the prince lets his wife know that he's invited people and their wives to dinner, though they show up completely covered in dirt, and you can see the parish stare more at them than focus on the service. After church, the prince is getting cleaned up, only to be told by the priest that Concetta, his daughter, wants to marry Don Trecchetti, his nephew, because this is absolutely normal. She has been in love with him for a while, and you can even see it when he leaves for war the first time. She doesn't want him to go. The prince is not surprised by this, but also doesn't think they have enough money to fund his nephew's dreams. He's very headstrong, excited, determined. He's concerned about the effect this will have on his nephew if his nephew tries to marry his daughter. But he won't really have to worry about that because at dinner, the mayor's wife is unfortunately ill and can't make it to dinner, which shouldn't matter in the slightest to Concetta. She barely knows the lady, except that means that his daughter has come in her place. And you can see the shift immediately. Trecchetti wants Angelica, and Concetta can see that she now has competition. Though it's very obvious there's no competition to be had. Even the prince is smitten with her, which, gross. It's about 40-year difference there, at least. The next day, the prince catches his nephew going to give flowers to Angelica, and he quietly gives his blessing, though he does mention there's something ignoble about it. The prince doesn't like the mayor, though he acknowledges just how rich the mayor is. It's very interesting because the mayor is new money and the prince is old money, but it's clear that the mayor has more money than the prince, or else marrying his daughter would have been the best choice for his nephew, because there's nothing else to consider there. You can even see it at the dinner party. They make fun of the outfit the mayor chooses to wear, but technically he has more power and money than the nobles. Yet they still look down on him. And again, I still haven't really seen anything honorable from the Prince of Selena. I see that he is watching how things unfold and is following the tide. That doesn't make any of it honorable. It means he's smart to follow the trajectory, but I don't know where the honorable part comes in. Even in looking down on the mayor, Prince Selena plays along with the mayor's antics. The mayor is corrupt and gets everyone to cast the same vote in the election that will favor the nationalists. Even Selena votes with everyone else. This trifecta, the dinner, the nephew courting the mayor's daughter, and the election, I feel like they are when a real shift happens in the Prince of Selena. He was seemingly calm for most of the movie until now, where he's fully just realizing how much is changing around him. His face of stoicism, with the fireworks blaring behind him, is a great representation of how he is feeling in this moment. He is watching the future come forward fast and loud without him, with no regard to whether or not he is ready, and whether or not he's going to watch it unfold. He approves of the union between Angelica and Trecchetti, though he doesn't like the mayor's family, even though he is smitten with his new niece-in-law. Again, ew. He has to calm his wife down, who is mourning for their daughter's broken heart, who feels like their nephew played their daughter. I don't know that he did, because I think he was willing to marry her, but I think he did want to marry her until he met Angelica. Then, after calming his wife down, he's approached by the new government and asked to be a member to help usher in the future. He says no, much to the surprise of the representative. He then, at different times, tells the representative two of my favorite lines in the movie. The government representative, who is trying to convince the Prince of Selena to join the government, says, "This won't last." Selena responds with, "It shouldn't last, but it always will. The human always lasts a century or two. After that, it makes it different, but always worse." The one that he says after that is, "We are leopards and lions. Those who will come after will be jackals. And all of us jackals, lions, and sheep will think ourselves salt of the earth." I do enjoy those two lines. And again, it shows an awareness and a wisdom in his thought process. I still don't know that he's honorable. I guess the only honorable thing is that he doesn't retaliate or try to hurt anybody in the process. But honestly, he's just going along with the tide. I don't know if that makes him honorable. This is a part where I literally write in my notes, "Oh, he's wiser than I thought. I thought him an idiot in the beginning, an idiot without reproach, because of the lack of awareness and his inability to take responsibility for his sins." Which, again, the whole church thing, I I get it. I thought he was in denial for a lot of the movie, playing along to keep up, but it seems he is finally saying goodbye and realizing his time is ending, which is understandable. I'm not knocking that. A whole history, millennia of centuries of the way of life is changing in this moment. No one wants to see all they've grown accustomed to change. Change is inevitable. Unfortunately, war seems to be inevitable among humans. I don't know enough about the history of this war that they're talking about to say whether one side is good or bad. But it is change. Even if the side that had been around forever survived, there would still be changes that would have to be in place. The final major moment in this movie happened at a ball where Angelica has her coming out. Prince Selena is in the host's study, looking at a photo of someone dying, contemplating his own death, which is such an interesting motivator to have in your office. Angelica and Trinketti find him, and she asks him to dance, much to the chagrin of her fiancé, who is jealous of the Prince of Selena, because it also seems like Angelica might have a crush on the Prince of Selena. That part was very confusing. The whole kiss, all of that, none of that made sense. After he does dance with his niece-in-law, he says that she made him feel young again, and he goes and watches the party and says, "Inbreeding does not make anyone smarter or better." Which, if you're going to learn any lesson here, that's a good one to hold on to, I guess. If the lesson had to be learned at all. Cool. Glad we got that out the way. That is a really funny line to me, though. I kind of love that line. It's just like, oh, we are not elite. And we do not make us more elite by sticking together in that way. He leaves the party alone, and he says goodbye to his old way of life. I think this is a good movie. I do. I think it's a poignant movie. And at the same time, I also think they made the Prince of Selena almost too lovable and pitiable a character because the story is so sad for him. Falling behind is a sad moment, and it's easier to feel empathy for someone going through something like that when they are a likable character. But everything I saw in the movie did not make the Prince of Selena a noble man. It just made him a man of noble blood. So I have to admit, even after writing this script, I was still pretty lost. So I researched and looked up some details through the book. I read a chapter breakdown of the book, and the book makes so much more sense, guys. So much more sense. I think because they try so hard to make the prince honorable as he's mourning the loss of his life and the changes that he's about to go through. The movie also hinted at things that the book did a better job, and the books often do a better job, at explaining. If you watch this movie, I absolutely recommend that you also read the book along with it. Apparently, this book was so controversial when it first came out that people couldn't understand who Giuseppe was trying to paint as the bad guy. That's impressive. Both sides did not want this book published, which I actually think makes for a good political piece. Things are complicated, more so when politics are involved. And a book that has both sides offended and fighting for who is blameless? I kind of love it. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of love it. At least more than I like the movie. I don't hate the movie. I just think they tried too hard to make someone who was probably just a normal human to be this grandiose character. And I'm like, nah, he's just a human with a real sense of detachment and an awareness that is problematic and hard to look at. Overall, I give this movie 3.5 out of 5 ball gowns. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, I hope you have an amazing day, and see you later.